and welcome to the latest episode of Check It Out, a podcast presented to you by the Cincinnati and Hamilton County Public Library. I'm your host, Joe Armstrong. It's the end of the year, and one of our favorite traditions here at the library is to look back and see about how everything went in terms of what people were reading, what they were watching, what did this year look like, what were the big themes. And I've got two perfect people here to give that information to you. I've got Justyn Rampa, our regional manager. Justyn, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, happy to be here.
And I've got Caitlin Tracey-Miller, our data analyst.
It's great to be here.
Welcome. So let's dig right into it. Caitlin, give us an overview of the top books from this year. I know that you have it kind of divided out. Everybody's on pins and needles about what was the most borrowed item. Let's jump in.
Great. So one thing that's really interesting is that the top titles on ebooks and e-audiobooks are actually really different from the top titles on print. So the most popular books for print this year were titles by James Patterson and David Baldacci, and then the top digital titles were a lot of popular romance and fantasy, like the Fourth Wing series.
Great. Well, so I was going to say, if you haven't heard the term romantasy, it's really having a moment. It's a portmanteau, because I'm an English lit major, of romance and fantasy. So because of the Fourth Wing, I think we're really seeing a resurgence in this. The genre has been around for a while. People are really digging romantasy right now.
And some of those titles are quite long, and it sounds like people are really enjoying listening to them on their commutes or while they're doing things around the house and are getting through some of those longer titles on audio. And we've had our biggest year in audiobooks ever this year, too. So,
oh, wow.
Very popular. And then for teen titles, the top teen book this year was One Piece.
So I just want to acknowledge One Piece had a big year as well. The Netflix show that came out, I think maybe last year, broke Netflix records, the #1 show in 84 countries, and really accomplished what people couldn't imagine was a very popular long-running manga series, One Piece, was successfully adapted into a live-action show.
So Justyn, give for someone who is not as familiar in that genre, but recognizes it is wildly popular, can you give kind of a 30-second pitch about what this is and who it might appeal to if you have a teen or if you're an adult who might be into this?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think a way we could understand it is manga is basically a comic book, right? Graphic novel. It is coming specifically from Japan, and it is often packaged in a shorter but thicker volume. It's read from back to front compared to how we read here.
Wow, okay.
And it is densely populated. One Piece, I mean, and there's really no way for us to understand how popular manga is in Japan, where like entire stores are dedicated to just manga. So One Piece is one of the breakthroughs. The main character, Monkey D. Luffy, was in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. It's about pirates, but it's also about just acknowledging your strengths and fulfilling your destiny. And then if you are excited by the fact that you could read an entire book that's just one fight that happens over the entire novel, well then, One Piece manga is for you, man.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to add to this total to make it even more popular next year.
Yeah, you should.
And another popular teen title was my favorite book when I was in 7th grade, and that is The Outsiders.
So funny enough, right? My wife is an English teacher, junior high. It is still 7th grader's favorite book. She teaches Outsiders. I think Outsiders has always been popular, but it's having a resurgence because if you follow like Broadway, theater community, the Outsiders stage show came in, swept the Tonys, like outstanding 12 nominations, won Best Musical. So yeah, Outsiders is also kind of having a resurgence. So stay cool, pony boy. Is that right?
Stay gold.
Stay gold. Yeah, sorry.
And Caitlin, why don't you take the time now for, again, someone who is not as familiar with it, but also recognizes that this is a movement, to Justyn's point. Give us the rundown on who may like The Outsiders and what it's all about.
Well, The Outsiders is kind of a great story about not fitting in as a teenager, but it's about sort of these two groups of kids, the ones who have a lot of resources and the ones who don't, and kind of butting heads and then seeing the humanity in each other, I think is kind of overall. But it's a great story.
And hearing that description, like both One Piece and Outsiders are very much about a group of misfits kind of finding each other and finding their purpose.
Interesting. Very compelling.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
You
What
can
else do
also
we
get
have?
the soundtrack if you want. It's one of our
that's true.
available CDs.
Yeah, nice.
For the musical. And then for juvenile top titles, Dave Pilkey of Dogman had 7 of the top 10 juvenile titles this year, either Dogman or Cat Kid.
So I don't know if your oldest is like reading this yet. Both my boys love Dogman. And again, to show why there's media, like the Dogman film came out this year. Very popular. We watched it multiple times in our house. And again, I think, connecting to what we're talking about is popular. One Piece is a manga, graphic novel, all visual. Dogman also very heavily graphic novel. So again, I think it's an accessibility thing where reluctant readers, really all readers, can really find a way to engage with material like this.
And I think with Dogman too, it's very funny. I know when my 7-year-old is reading it, she'll be laughing at the jokes and loves that
Totally.
she gets all the little.
And for people that don't know, it's like a riff off of Batman.
Yes.
Right. So just that, he's so established in our culture. It's playing off of those tropes.
And a lot of the titles are kind of playing on like classic literature.
Yeah.
So, it's things like The Scarlet Shredder or 20,000
Because there
Fleas
is
Under the Sea.
nothing that kids connect more than Nathaniel Hawthorne literature. Just, yeah.
Via Dogman.
Via Dogman.
Yes.
Of course. They get the reference.
Love it.
Grime and Punishment is another one.
Oh my gosh.
Solid.
Yeah, solid.
Tell us about what's happening with the print and digital. You said there were some differences, but it looks like there might have been one who was kind of dominant in both.
Yeah, so the title that did really well in all formats was The Women by Kristen Hanna, which I think was also a really popular book club title this year. I think a lot of people read it in that setting. And then another author who showed up in both places was Emily Henry, who writes romance, and she has some Cincinnati connections too.
Yeah, and I know that I've been coming through with the media tie-ins, but I'm a little in the dark on this one. So congratulations to Kristen Hanna. I know she's like a pretty mainstay in book clubs. I think a lot of times it's like historical romance, but this is not necessarily the genre I spent some time in.
I've heard it also makes people cry if anyone
There you
is planning to
go.
read it.
I did take a peek at last year's stats before this episode, and this is a very rare instance of a back-to-back #1 most borrowed title for Kristen Hanna, The Women.
Yeah.
Really?
That rarely happens, and
Well.
this has really been connecting with readers across Cincinnati and Hamilton County. Can she do it
Last year,
for a third straight
time,
We'll have to
year?
watch.
Kristen
We will
Hanna,
see.
if you're listening, we'd love to talk about a program.
Come on the pod.
Yeah,
We'd love to have you.
Podcast. We can have you hosting a book event at Maine. Let's talk.
Come on down.
Yeah.
And we also saw on the top list Nicholas Kristoff show up, who was our Stern lecturer.
Speaking of someone
Yes.
coming down.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And that was really well received. I mean, I think that is just like people really love the Stern lecture. An annual event we do here that's we've done for multiple years now, and just always draws a great crowd.
Yeah. And last year, David Grand showed up on the list, and we had him last
Yeah.
year as well. So.
What else do we have, Caitlin?
Well, we also do have movies and CDs available to our customers. And for some of the top CDs this year, it was a lot of the most popular artists. So we had Beyonce, we had
Kendrick Lamar,
we had
Lady Gaga.
I
Swift.
have a feeling that Justyn contributed to some of these records
Yeah,
this year.
listen. I mean, I think if there's anyone listening that wants to kind of dig into the beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, getting Kendrick Lamar's album from the library is a good place to start.
There we go.
Because, yeah, that's all you really need to know. Beyonce, of course, album didn't come out this year, but I think she was maybe touring.
Yeah.
Lady Gaga
With Cowboy
is
Carter.
touring with Mayhem.
Yep.
And then a little indie singer that, listeners may have heard of, Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
She has 6 of the
Look
top
for her,
10.
Look for her.
But Kendrick Lamar was #1.
Well, of course. I mean, and, No shade to Drake, but I think he's kind of number one in that feud as well.
Wow, so you heard it here first.
Yeah, hot take.
Well, Drake wasn't on the list, so.
Yeah. Oh,
For both of you.
man.
So we'll see that. I know he was also coming off of a big Super Bowl performance this year.
Yeah, which was album related. Yeah.
Next year, Bad Bunny. Will he be on the list
Bad
next
Bunny
year?
on the list.
We will
Good
see.
question. Good question.
We'll wait and see.
And we also had some musical soundtracks on the list too. So we were talking about musicals earlier, but Wicked and Hamilton. And then late in the year, K-pop Demon Hunters is coming up.
Of course. Yeah. And had a live action debut also in the Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Yes.
Which was pretty awesome.
Now, let's put some context. We've been talking about, okay, the most checked out items. What does that really mean in terms of numbers? This was kind of mind-blowing to me. Caitlin, can you dive into that a little bit?
Yeah. So we had a huge year for digital checkouts. So over 6 million checkouts on Overdrive, eBooks, and Hoopla. And we're probably going to hit 6 million just on Libby. So if our listeners are listening on the Libby app.
Get your thumbs ready.
Going great.
Use that Libby app.
Yes.
Because we are, last year, correct me if I'm mistaken, Caitlin, we hit 5 million
That's right.
checkouts for the very first time.
Yes.
This year, we're approaching 6. 1 million more. This episode is airing right on the cusp of
smashing
2026.
records.
There is plenty of time to help us get to that 6 million. So be sure to head over to Libby and help us get there with some of these recommendations you hear today.
Yeah, there's always titles that are available now, and then there's also the popular titles people wait for a little bit, but there's always things you can just check out right now on Libby. You don't have to wait.
Love it. Well, we will end our discussion right here, but don't go away because we have even more 2025 statistics that you will want to hear right after this.
Ugh, streaming services are so expensive.
Have you considered using Canopy through the library?
I haven't heard of that service. What is it?
Canopy is a film streaming service that's free with your CHPL library card. Stream over 3,000 free movies, documentaries, world and indie films, classic cinema, shorts, educational videos, and kids shows. Learn more at chpl.org.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. I'm cutting my expensive streaming service right now.
Do you need a private space for studying or a meeting? Cincinnati and Hamilton County Public Library offers free meeting and study rooms for reservation. Available at most library locations. Learn more at chpl.org.
Welcome back. We are now going to shift away from just books because we all know the Cincinnati and Hamilton County Public Library. We deal with books, we have plenty of CDs, plenty of movies, but there's so much more that can happen here at the library. And to tell us more about it, Caitlin, we have some other statistics from this past year that listeners might be interested in.
Yeah, so it was a very busy year at the library across all of our metrics. And one of those is visits, of course, so number of people who walked into one of our locations. And we've had already over 4 million visitors this year, up 6% from last year. And for those branches that have recently undergone renovations or have new buildings, that percentage is even higher. So Forest Park, if any of you have gotten to see that beautiful new space, attendance was up 45%, and Mount Healthy was up 112% this year.
Yeah, and just to speak to that, so a lot of these renovations Caitlin's acknowledging are through our facility master plan. I think that there is potentially another episode of the podcast that will dig into that a little more.
We're coming fresh off of that.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, just check out the podcast right before it. We'll pause. All right, welcome back, Justyn.
Yeah, okay,
again.
good. So in case they missed anything, the FMP, how we kind of refer to the facility master plan, was really about accessibility, right? Making our spaces accessible for people. And what we have seen and what we've heard from the community is it's working. People love the renovations. And I think something to note of new branches or newly renovated branches is it takes about a solid year for the community to really recognize that the changes have happened, people are coming back in, and so we're certainly seeing that with some places. Forest Park was a smaller branch, it's now our largest branch, and then Mount Healthy was in a very small kind of space, difficult to get to, and again, it's situated in a really nice spot in the neighborhood now, and we see that reflected in the stats.
Yeah, I also wanted to talk a bit about our maker spaces. We have these wonderful maker spaces across the system, and they're actually very busy this month as people come in to make holiday crafts and things for friends and family at the end of the year. But there have been 15,436 sessions at the main maker spaces this year.
Wow, I'm trying to pick my jaw off the ground.
You're doing a great job
This is
speaking.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yes. And the most popular machines are the laser printer, the digital design PCs, and then people kind of doing all kinds of other projects too.
And something we also have seen, like looking at stats and review, is on that accessibility note, trying to have a makerspace presence out in the community as well, so people don't always have to come to Maine. And we've really established some pretty solid makerspaces, Forest Park, Madisonville, and then some smaller maker experiences at like Reading, and then St. Bernard, Loveland. So we definitely hear from the community, like they're into makerspaces, so we are also trying to meet that need all over the county.
And I'd love to give a little plug for the garment printer at Forest Park, which is wonderful. And I brought my daughter's brownie troupe there, and they got to make shirts that they had designed and felt so cool about what they'd made. So there's all these great tools, and it's very affordable too.
Totally.
Love it. What else do we have in terms of different types of services that we can look back on for 2025?
I think this would be a good time to bring in copy, print, fax.
Yeah. So we have, you can get printing and faxing done at the library. We had over 2 million print jobs, over 9 million pages that people were able to get done at the library for work and for whatever reasons they needed. And that was almost 400,000 users who were doing that.
Yeah. And I think the other thing, a question I get a lot is like, people are surprised that faxing still happens or that people need to fax, but it is true. And the library can help you fax whatever you need. And as evidenced by the, can I go ahead and share this number?
Please, yeah.
Yeah, the 77,411 public faxes this year.
That's incredible.
It's incredible.
If any of you are like me and there's nothing more frustrating to you than trying to get a printer to work, the library is your refuge.
Yeah.
Because you can walk in, it's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Print off.
We get frustrated for you.
Yes.
You don't have to save that energy.
And you don't even see it.
You don't even see it.
Yeah. So this was an amazing stat that if you know anything about libraries is just so cool to see folks utilizing. Now, many times folks think of libraries, their books being a resource. They're, things like copy, print, fax is a
Computers,
resource.
yeah.
But what we're seeing now, especially as we're going through FMP, is space as a resource, reservable community space. Tell us about that, Caitlin.
Yeah, so we're seeing more and more customers booking reservable spaces every year. We've had over 73,000 space reservations in 2025 so far. And we have a lot more spaces that are available to do that now with a lot of our renovated projects, that Justyn was talking about.
I mean, and we've also tried to acknowledge this, like space as a resource, I think, is a conversation we've been engaged in over the past few years, particularly as people are doing remote work, all of that structure has kind of changed. We are seeing the need for different types of spaces. So we have everything from like big meeting rooms that can host large events. We have smaller meeting rooms that are like conference style. We also have individual like study rooms. And we tried to kind of illuminate that on the reservation space, and there's a process in place, but man, just as soon as we make the space, people come, they use the space for multiple hours. And of course, something we're not saying too, but in that space you have access to the things that we have. You have the printer, you have Wi-Fi, you have faxing, all these things that are just really, really meeting a lot of needs that people are having right now in the workforce and beyond.
So I encourage you to head on over to our website, chpl.org, and you can check out the whole list of all the study and meeting rooms that are available to reserve for free. Check it out. All right, what else do we have, Caitlin?
Well, another way that people come to the library is for our programs. So we have lots of story times, and we have programs for all ages. And so we've had 337,000 people come in for library programs so far this year, including 167,000 at our very popular library story times.
And just to kind of, explode the notion of what programs can look like, yesterday evening we had a very popular program where listeners, you could touch a shark.
Where?
At the West End, yeah.
At the library.
At the West End branch, you could touch a shark. So, I mean, story times are definitely bread and butter of what we do, but also if you're looking to engage with wildlife, we do a lot of programs where the zoo, the aquarium, different partners can come in. So really, we do have a lot of different experiences.
I will also plug our CHPL Bird Nerds group.
Yeah.
For all you birders, whether
Yeah.
you're a novice like myself or an eagle-eyed expert, check out the Bird Nerds. They always have a lot of programs and book recommendations for you right here at the library.
And you can use one of our computers to watch The Residents, which is a series about a birder in the White House.
In the White House.
There you go.
And then one thing that I think we want to plug real quick is Caitlin and I are working on using a new tool that the Urban Library Council has developed called the Business Value Calculator. So we'll just give a little sneak preview here that we're working on a way to kind of package the work we're doing and demonstrate value that I think would be helpful for the business community to kind of understand and how we kind of contribute to the local economy here in Hamilton County.
And one thing that we're highlighting in that is all of the extra resources that are available for business owners or anyone really through databases like LinkedIn Learning or Transparent Language Solutions. There's all these great databases where you can learn things and find resources.
Upgrade your job skills.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
Just in time for the new year.
Just in time for the
Love
new year.
it.
Get your goals ready.
Here we are. Thank you all. That kind of rounds out our statistics part of the show, looking back at 2025. But right after the break, as you know, my favorite segment, we'll get to hear the recommendations and what their CHPL staff are currently reading. Stay tuned.
Do you need a private space for studying or a meeting? Cincinnati and Hamilton County Public Library offers free meeting and study rooms for reservation. Available at most library locations. Learn more at chpl.org.
Did you know the library offers free printing? Print up to $5 of documents every day for free. That's 20 color pages or 33 black and white pages. Additional pages are only 15 cents a page for black and white or 25 cents a page for color. Learn more at chpl.org.
Welcome back. I've been waiting for this. I am so excited to hear what Justyn and Caitlin have on their reading list, what they've been reading, and maybe you'll have a new recommendation by the end of this. I'm sure I will. Justyn, what's on your list?
So this year was a big year for me because I discovered a new author to me, Kieran Larwood. So his kind of flagship series is The World of Podk and One Ear. And really, how I would describe this is if you took Lord of the Rings, wrote it for fifth graders, and made everyone a bunny rabbit.
I'm sold.
I mean, and I don't know that I need to say anything else because either you're into that or you're not. But I will say he is like an indie author. You know, he was a kindergarten teacher at the Isle of Wight from England. We do have his books in the catalog. Podk and One Ear, as I described, follows us adventures in a very kind of high fantasy way, but accessible. And then I also am reading another series he did called Dungeon Runners, which I think taps into a little bit of that Dungeons and Dragons type feel. I am reading it to my youngest son, who famously has rejected earlier attempts I made to read him a story. And he's into this, and he looks forward to every chapter each night. So, yeah, Lord of the Rings, fifth graders, where everyone's a bunny. And that's it. You're welcome, everybody.
There you go. Place your hold now before I do.
Yeah. Yeah. And Kieran Larwood, if you're listening, we'd appreciate it.
Also welcome on the pod.
Welcome on the
anytime.
pod. Love to have you.
Caitlin, what's on your list?
So there were two that I wanted to talk about. I'm a huge mystery reader, and I really love the mystery author Ellie Griffiths. I read all of her mysteries during the pandemic. They were good company for me. And she has a new one out called Frozen People that has time travel in it as well, where the detectives go back to the 19th century. It's very fun.
Yeah.
And then the other one I wanted to talk about is called The Beast in the Clouds by Natalie Holt. It's a nonfiction history book, and it's about Teddy Roosevelt, the US president's sons, going hunting for the giant panda in 1929. And at that time, people thought giant pandas were these vicious, frightening predators, more like a grizzly bear. And because of this expedition, we now have seen pandas and know they're these gentle bamboo-eating friends. But it was a really interesting book, and I recommend it. A great audiobook. I listened to it in the car.
And I think seamlessly, we have covered the entire age range of people.
That's true.
Yeah.
Something for everyone.
Something for everyone here.
Love it. Love it. Thank you both for joining us today. And thank you, library listeners, for tuning in on another episode. It's been a wonderful year. We've launched this podcast. The response has been so great. Appreciate you rating and reviewing and sharing this podcast. What a better gift going into the new year than sharing the gift of this podcast to a friend or a family member so that they too can get wonderful recommendations, whether you're into Lord of the Rings, 5th grade level, or time travel and Teddy Roosevelt. You never
Nonfiction.
Yes.
Seamlessly worked in nonfiction.
Right.
Yeah,
So
there
no
we
matter
go.
what you're interested in, you'll find something that you'll love here on Checked Out. And that is it for us in 2025. We will see you next year. Tune in, and I'll see you then. Checked Out is a podcast presented by the Cincinnati and Hamilton County Public Library. It is produced by Paul Wellington. It is sound engineered by Steve France. Hosted by Joe Armstrong. Supported by the CHPL brand team, as well as the hundreds of library staff across Cincinnati and Hamilton County. Thank you for joining. We'll see you next week.